She joked about leaving me on her live stream. I was watching now. The wedding's off. I didn't plan to find out this way. I was sitting at home scrolling when I saw a notification pop up. Sophie is live. Out of curiosity, I clicked. Mai was live streaming her bachelorette party. At first I smiled. Then I heard the jokes. She was surrounded by her friends, champagne glasses in hand, music blaring in the background. The comments were flying and Sophie was laughing, cheeks flushed. Then came her words. Should I even marry him? The room erupted in laughter. It wasn't just a passing joke. She leaned into the camera, smirking, and repeated it. No, really, should I? Maybe I should back out now while I can. Her friends whooped and clinked glasses, one shouting, Team Sophie forever. I froze. My stomach dropped, my heart thudding in my chest. This wasn't banter. This was her planting seeds of doubt in front of an audience for strangers to watch and comment on. My future reduced to entertainment. The chat lit up with emojis, laughter, people encouraging her to have fun before the ball and chain. And then my name popped up in the live feed. It's mine, not hers. Mine. I typed 3 words. Don't bother. The screen went silent for a second. Her smile faltered. She squinted at her phone, then laughed awkwardly. Oh, looks like he's watching. Her friends exchanged nervous glances. But the damage was done. I didn't wait to see the rest. I closed the stream and opened my messages. My hands were shaking, but my decision was clear. I pulled up the number for the wedding venue, typed a quick message. Cancel the wedding. Effective immediately. Seconds later, my phone lit up again, not from Sophie, but from her maid of honor. The call buzzed insistently. Then again, then again. A frantic text followed. Please wait, it's not what you think. But it was exactly what I thought. Sophie had made her choice the moment she turned my commitment into a punchline for a live audience. That night I sat alone at my kitchen table, staring at the unopened stack of wedding invitations on the counter. My heart was a mix of heartbreak and cold, steady clarity. Sophie had shown me who she really was, and I believed her. I thought back to the beginning when Sophie and I first met. The late-night walks, the way she smiled when she talked about the future, the promises whispered in quiet moments. I thought I had found a partner. But somewhere along the way, she found a stage. And when someone shows you who they are, under the spotlight, you don't ignore it. You don't excuse it. You believe it. The calls didn't stop. First the maid of honor, then Sophie herself. My phone lit up so many times it felt like it was vibrating nonstop on the counter. I didn't answer. Not yet. I just sat there watching her name flash across the screen again and again. When I finally picked up, her voice was frantic. Babe, wait, please, don't do this. It was just a joke. Didn't mean it. Her words tumbled over each other, desperate, panicked. For the first time in a long time, she didn't sound in control. I stayed silent for a moment, letting her squirm in the space between her excuses. Finally, I asked, why would you joke about something like that? About us, in front of everyone? My voice was calm, but inside I was shaking. She tried to laugh it off at first. You know how girls get at these parties? Everyone was egging me on. It was harmless fun. Harmless. That word lodged in my chest like a stone. 'Cause what she had done wasn't harmless. It was humiliating. You turned me into a punchline, I said flatly. You turned our relationship into content for strangers to laugh at. Do you realize how that felt? On the other end, I heard her sniffle. I was drunk, okay? I wasn't thinking straight. Please, don't cancel the wedding. We spent months planning this. That was the moment it hit me. She wasn't worried about me. She was worried about the wedding, the event, the spectacle. It's her dream day. She didn't once say she was afraid of losing me. The maid of honor texted again while Sophie begged in my ear. She's devastated. She didn't mean it. Please don't throw everything away over one mistake. But it wasn't just one mistake. This was the culmination of months of red flags, her obsession with social media. The way she cared more about appearances than intimacy. The way my feelings always seemed to come second to her audience. I remembered the time I suggested a quiet weekend away, just the two of us. She laughed, saying, what's the point if I can't post about it? Or when she insisted we announce our engagement live online before even telling my parents. The signs had been there. Now she was panicking, not because she realized what she had done to me, but because the wedding she'd curated like an influencer's dream board was slipping away. I let her cry, let her plead, and then I said the words that made her go silent. Sophie, I don't think you ever wanted a marriage. You wanted an audience. There was a sharp inhale, then nothing but static. She hung up. Or maybe I did. I don't remember. All I know is that when the call ended, I felt strangely calm. The wedding was off. And for the first time, I started to believe that maybe I had just saved myself from a much bigger disaster down the road. By the next morning, my phone wasn't just blowing up from Sophie, it was buzzing with notifications from mutual friends, coworkers, even old acquaintances I hadn't spoken to in years. Sophie had gone public. Her Instagram story was filled with tearful clips. Mascara running down her cheeks, music softly playing in the background. She captioned it, "People make mistakes. Love is about forgiveness. Don't believe everything you hear." It was surreal. The same woman who had laughed about marrying me, like it was some kind of prison sentence, was now begging strangers to feel sorry for her. She painted herself as the victim while I became the cold who overreacted. Comments poured in half sympathy, half curiosity. Some people were saying things like, "Everyone jokes at their bachelorette. Calm down." Others weren't as forgiving. If my joked about not wanting to marry me, I'd cancel too. The divide was clear, but Sophie wasn't about to let it end there. She doubled down, posting old pictures of us together with captions like, "True love is worth fighting for. I won't give up on us." Meanwhile, her maid of honor texted me again. "She's not herself right now. Please don't make this worse. She'll do anything to fix this." But it already was worse, because Sophie had chosen to make it public. Instead of apologizing directly and owning what she'd done, she turned it into a social media campaign. The more she tried to spin it, the more hollow it looked. What she didn't expect, though, was that people around me started speaking up. My best friend commented on one of her posts. "Respect isn't optional in a relationship. He deserves better." Even my sister, who normally stayed quiet, posted. Funny how she calls it a mistake only after he walked away. The support hit Sophie harder than anything I could have said. Suddenly, she wasn't just facing me, she was facing everyone who had watched her live stream. And no amount of crying filters or sad quotes could erase the fact that she had humiliated me in front of an audience. Later that evening, I got another call. This time, it wasn't frantic. It was quiet. "Please, can we just talk? No cameras, no posts, just us." Her voice cracked, but I could hear it. She wasn't sorry. She was scared. Scared of losing her carefully crafted image. Scared that she had finally pushed too far and this time there was no rewind button. I didn't respond right away. I let her words sit there, echoing in the silence. Because for the first time, I realized something important. This wasn't about love anymore. This was about control. It's about her needing to be seen as the one in power, even if it meant tearing me down in the process. And I was done playing that role. The knock on my door came late at night, long after I thought she'd finally given up for the day. At first I ignored it, but the knocking turned into pounding, and then came her voice, shaky, desperate, echoing down the hallway. "Please, open the door. I just want to talk. Please don't shut me out like this." I froze, staring at the door, listening as she alternated between knocking and crying. My phone buzzed again, this time with texts from her maid of honor. She drove over there. Just talk to her. Don't make her fall apart like this. But Sophie had already made her choices. She had laughed at my expense. She had turned my heartbreak into content. And now, after the backlash, after realizing she couldn't control the narrative, she was at my doorstep, acting like I owed her an audience. I finally opened the door, just a crack. Sophie stood there, hair disheveled, makeup streaked. She looked nothing like the perfectly curated version of herself she projected online. She looked real messy, raw, unfiltered. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "I made a mistake," she whispered, clutching her phone like a lifeline. "I was stupid. I thought I was being funny. But I love you, I do. Please don't throw us away." Her words might have sounded convincing. If I hadn't already lived through months of being her second priority, if I hadn't seen the smirk on her face during that live stream when she mocked me for the world to see. "You didn't make a mistake," I said quietly. "You showed me the truth. It's different." Her eyes widened, and for a moment, her tears stopped. She shook her head furiously. "No, that's not true. I was drunk. I was stupid. You know me better than this. But I didn't. Not anymore. Maybe I never really had." She tried to push past me into the apartment, but I blocked her. That tiny, firm barrier between us seemed to hit her harder than anything else. She realized she no longer had access not to my space, not to my life, not to the future she had taken for granted. The tears returned, harsher this time. "You're making a mistake, not me. You'll regret this. You'll see. I'm the best thing that ever happened to you." And there it was, the mask slipping again. The entitlement, the arrogance. The belief that she could humiliate me, cry a little, then waltz back into my life like nothing happened. I stepped back and closed the door. Her muffled sobs echoed through the wood for a while, then faded into silence. When I finally looked at my phone again, there were no new messages from her, just the quiet relief of knowing I had finally drawn the line. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept without waking up in the middle of the night, wondering if I was making the wrong choice. Deep down, I knew I wasn't. For a few days, things went quiet. No calls, no texts, no late-night pounding at my door. I almost thought Sophie had finally accepted the reality of what she'd done, but then came the grand gesture. It started with flowers, dozens of them, bouquets stacked outside my door, so many that the hallway smelled like a florist shop. Each one came with a note. "I love you. Please forgive me. Let's start over." Then came the packages. A box with all the gifts I'd ever given her, turned with sticky notes attached. Every one of these still means something to me. Another box with a scrapbook she'd thrown together overnight filled with pictures of us. Captions were almost frantic. Forever and always. But the most shocking thing came the next evening when I logged into social media. Sophie had gone live again this time, not from a party, not surrounded by friends, but alone, sitting cross-legged on her bed, holding a photo of us. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "I made the biggest mistake of my life. I hurt the person I love most. If you see this, please know I didn't mean it. I just want you back." The comments section exploded, half pity, half skepticism. Some begged me to forgive her. Others called her out, saying too little too late. Watching her cry on camera didn't break me the way she thought it would. If anything, it hardened me. Because even now, she couldn't separate our relationship from her audience. Even her apology had to be public, performative, polished for views, and that's when it really sank in. Sophie wasn't in love with me. She was in love with the idea of USC's story, the attention, the image. Later that night, she tried again in private. A long, rambling email poured into my inbox. She talked about how she couldn't sleep, how she felt sick without me, how she knew she'd taken me for granted. She wrote about wanting to delete her social media, about wanting to focus on real life again. For a moment, I almost believed her. But then I noticed the timing her apology stream had already gone viral. Her follower count had jumped overnight. Her sobs had become content once again, earning her sympathy, engagement, and brand new attention. I sat there staring at her words, realizing the cruel irony. She wasn't changing, she was adapting. Shaping my heartbreak into another chapter for her followers to consume, so I typed a single reply. "Stop, this is over, not coming back." When I hit send, I felt the weight of every flower, every box, every desperate cry through the door fall away. Sophie had tried her last card, and it hadn't worked. And for the first time in years, I finally felt free. The final time I heard from Sophie wasn't a call or a text, it was through mutual friends. Word spread quickly. Her apology stream had backfired once the truth trickled out. People clipped the original Bachelorette video, pairing her drunken jokes about me with her tearful performance. The internet wasn't buying it anymore. Her comments turned harsh. "Can't humiliate someone and then play victim. This isn't love, it's damage control." Sponsors that had been circling her page quietly backed away. The sympathy she had tried to harvest became ridicule, and her carefully polished image cracked in real time. Meanwhile, I was living in the quiet. The invitations I never sent were shredded. The wedding registry was deleted, the venue refunded what it could. Piece by piece, the weight of a future that was never really mine fell away. And with it, I felt lighter. My parents, who had always been polite but distant with Sophie, confessed their relief. "We never wanted to interfere," my mom admitted, "but we worried she didn't see you, only what you could do for her." My friends echoed the same. It was like the whole world had been holding its breath, waiting for me to finally open my eyes. Sophie, on the other hand, spiraled. She showed up at the cafe where I worked remotely sometimes, sitting at a table across the room, staring at me with red-rimmed eyes. She didn't say a word, just waited, hoping I'd break first. I didn't. Eventually, she left. The last attempt came weeks later, an envelope slipped under my door. Inside was a handwritten letter, shaky and smudged, saying she had lost everything and begging for another chance. I read it once, folded it neatly, and placed it in a drawer. Not out of sentiment, but as a reminder of where I had been and where I wasn't going back to. Time passed, and with it, clarity. I realized Sophie hadn't ruined me. She had exposed me to myself. She'd forced me to confront what I truly wanted in a partner. Someone who saw me, not just the version of me they could broadcast. Someone who valued trust over spectacle. Starting fresh wasn't easy. The silence after years of noise felt unfamiliar at first, but slowly I began to enjoy it. I poured energy into things I had set aside, work projects, hobbies, friendships that had gone neglected. While I played the role of Sophie's, perfect. 2 years later, I hardly recognized the man who once sat in front of a glowing phone screen, shattered by a cruel joke in a live stream. I had grown steadier, more grounded. And most importantly, I knew my worth. As for Sophie, I heard she moved away, chasing another audience somewhere else. Maybe she'll find it. Maybe she won't. But she won't find me there. Because I finally understood, real love doesn't need an audience. And I'd rather walk alone in peace than stand beside someone who only ever wanted applause. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.